What's going on, beautiful people? Jaquel here of Back to the Basics of Health and Wellness Podcast. On today's episode, we are going to be talking to Mr. Jason Winters of freeefttapping.com. He is going to discuss all about tapping. Let's get into it. Anything you want can come true if you cast it in the form of a golden goal and apply EFT.
Daddy, it's time to start your podcast.
Hey, Jason, how you doing today?
Hey, Jaquel. Nice to be here with you, man. Appreciate it.
All is well. Good to hear. Good to hear. So for the listeners out there, Jason Winters, he is a EFT coach. And today we're going to talk about how EFT can help with things like stress that people are dealing with today, and some other things that EFT can help with as well. Dealing with the coronavirus and everything that's going on, and people losing their minds. So let's get into it. So, Jason, tell me about EFT and what does that entail?
Yeah, so I think it's important. Like, of course, acronyms just get thrown around, right? So EFT, what does it actually mean? So it stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, and it came out like maybe in the 70s with this thought seal therapy, and then this other guy took it and just really simplified it to make it into a tapping round that people can just tap on different acupuncture points in their body, acupressure. So a lot of people are familiar with acupuncture and acupressure. But EFT, or Emotional Freedom Techniques, or the tapping, what we're doing, instead of using the needles, we're just tapping on the meridian endpoint.
Nice.
So they have a junction or kind of where they overlap, and we just tap on those specific points, and it literally reduces the stress. And the way it's doing this is it's sending a calming signal to the part of our brain called the amygdala, and that's the fight or the flight or the freeze, actually, part of our brain. So whenever we're coming up against something that's really challenging or something fearful, we're running away from it, or if we're cornered, then we're going to fight that thing, right? We're going to fight it so we can save our life or, make it out of that particular situation. And then other times people just freeze. So you think of like 9/11 or really traumatic things where people just realize they have nothing, there's nothing to do. You can't run, you can't fight it. It's a plane coming at you. You just literally freeze, pass out, or what have you. So in our life, we kind of reach a lot of those points, and people just don't have a tool to make it through where, so they're ending up staying in this fight or flight cycle, and it affects our health, man, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just like it's the stress alone affects, what everybody's dealing with now, trying to boost their immune systems and things like that. Like at this point in time, I remember I seen a video of yours on Instagram, and you were saying, a lot of people, instead of just getting into where to tap, and people might forget where to tap, just tap anywhere at the end of the day, correct?
Mm-hmm. So what I like to help people to see is that, well, you do need to learn the point, right? So
Absolutely.
there's just not anywhere on the body, but you learn the point. But what happens is we get into this perfectionist zone. And I do it too. It's like I want to do things the right way. I need to make sure it's perfect before I can move forward.
Yes.
And that happens in people's life, business, their relationships. For instance, there was this thing where it's like when I wanted to lose weight, it was like, I got to get new shoes. I got to go to the market. I got to do a whole overhaul of my kitchen. I can't just do the next thing. I have to make it real big.
Absolutely.
And right? And so even with business, it's like, oh, I got to do this. I got to open a checking account and do it all. And so it's similar on smaller things, right? Like tapping, like you learn a technique, and I just want people to use it, right? Just use it, simplify things, don't overcomplicate things. And so that's the message of my video for tapping, but for anything that you're introducing into your life or that you're doing for yourself or for someone else. Let's just do the next thing. Like, what is the next thing? And that next thing is just tapping. It's a matter of tuning into your system to find out. And this is a foreign concept because sitting still and just noticing what's going on inside of us is just not something that we typically do. Just as humans, like we're always going, we're always pushing things away and trying to figure out how I can avoid the pain as opposed to figuring out how I can move through it and navigate this process and learn from things as opposed to avoid it.
Okay. So
right?
cool.
Yeah.
So do you do classes or any type of workshops with this?
Yeah. So I teach, I have a free training, freeefttraining.com that I like people to take because especially nowadays, what's going on in the world, people are truly stressed out. Like they are just stressed to the max. And I love that training because it gives people a tool that they can use. It's absolutely free and they can learn this technique, learn tapping, and it's proven to them. So a lot of times things sound too good to be true, or people are like, oh, I'm not really sure. They're on the fence. So there's a lot of doubt around whether or not this can help them. But the way that I've designed this training is to give you, really to empower you with this tool and to give you the proof. It's like the proof is there. When you go through the training, I've never had anybody leave and say, I don't feel less anxious.
Nice.
I've never had anybody take this training. Anybody who's serious about reducing anxiety, overwhelm, and stress, I've never had anybody go through this training and say, you know what, I didn't notice anything different. And so that's my goal, is to bring this to the world as much as possible. This is a tool that is super powerful and it can be yours. You own it. You don't have to pay and you can just take it and do it.
Yeah. Because I was actually tapping as we were talking a little while ago, right up under my eye. So it's like, guys, you can do this wherever, whenever you feel like you're getting a little stressed out, or if you just want to bring that anxiety down, you can do it anywhere. People, they'll look at you and be like, oh, what are they doing? And then you can explain it and put it out there a little bit more. How did you stumble upon EFT? Well,
I struggled for so many years with weight loss and food issues and food addiction and things like that. And it wasn't until I went through health coaching school, that I realized, like, it's really about getting to the root. But most of my life, I focused on what I was eating, like the food and how much eating. So Weight Watchers was a thing, and Slim Fast and all of this. And when I finished health coaching school, it opened up my world to realizing that, this is about me. This is about the entire me, right? The whole me. And then, of course, Google, they know what you're into, right? They kind of track us down, and they started. That's how I found IIN, was through Google. And then once I went through IIN, other stuff started coming, like, just recommendations of all sorts. And EFT was one of the recommendations. And I just looked into it and completely fell in love with it because it changed my life. It gave me something that I was able to use, like immediately use. Went through all sorts of trainings, had about 3 different certification courses in EFT just because I love it so much.
Nice.
And here I am, practicing with clients all around the world, remotely, one-on-ones and what have you.
Passion.
But I think my biggest joy is just when someone, for the first time, uses EFT and they're able to reduce their stress. It brings me a lot of happiness.
Nice. Passion and purpose, people. Passion and purpose. My man, he's on his purpose right now. He's helping people decrease their stress. And as myself, he's a health coach as well. So that's what we definitely have that in common. And, him bringing the EFT to me and me starting to practice that helps me a lot and come out and, be better in the world as a person. When talking about the root, and a lot of people look at or use the term root for when they're talking about trauma. Does this help with any type of trauma or past life trauma that people have dealt with, or like even past trauma that's like kind of recent? What does it help for that?
Yeah. So one of the things that I try to avoid is getting so deep into the science of things. So EFT is backed by science for sure. But whenever, I'm not a science major. So when people are throwing a lot of technical jargon at me, it's like, it kind of makes sense, but how does this really relate to me? And so EFT being backed by science, the reality is what we know, people listening to this, is that we get stuck. Like, we reach a point and we feel stuck, whether that's in our, what we're eating, our diet, our business, our life, our career. We reach a point where we're not really satisfied with the results that we're getting. And that makes us feel a certain way, right, when we're feeling stuck. Or you take an example, which may not seem like being stuck, but you take a call like this where we're recording, right? And at moments, especially when I first started doing podcasts or my own podcast or jumping on podcasts with other people and big names out there in the health coaching world, it's like I'm feeling nervous or I'm feeling some sort of way. Well, what is nervousness? Why are you feeling that way? Where are the insecurities coming from? Why the nervousness, or why the doubt? Or if you're starting a business, why are you fearful? Why are you feeling doubtful? Will this work? Or all of this concern? Or now with the coronavirus, right? We have a lot of fear and a lot of doubt, but some have more than others. And so it's always a question of what is going on within my system, right? And just one other thing I'd like to add is that by the time we're age 7, we've pretty much experienced all the emotions that we'll ever experience in life.
Beautiful.
And so when you're 7 years old, you've already been embarrassed before. You've already been scared. You've had fear. You've had disappointment. Maybe it rained and you were supposed to go to the amusement park or something. But all of the major emotions that we feel, it's typically by the age 7 to 10, we've felt them all. And so from that point on, our lives are basically just stacking on different emotions, and it's just, we call it tabletops and table legs. So you're just literally building on that foundation. And some people have had this fear or this these emotions even as babies. If there's trauma, depending on how the baby was delivered. I mean, so many other things, or even when mom was pregnant. And so what we're doing with EFT is we're literally getting to the root of the emotion, and we feel that in our body. So when people are talking about butterflies in their stomach or they feeling goosebumps, something gave them goosebumps, that's not goosebumps. It's not, no butterflies are flying around in your stomach. And when you have that pit in the center of your stomach that people kind of refer to, there's no pit, there's no seed that you swallowed. This is energy. It's literal emotions that you're feeling in your body, and it drives us to do something or not to do something. And that's where things work for us or against us, or helping us to reach our goals or holding us back from reaching our goals. And we just need to understand that. So to kind of wrap up the answer to your question, we can reach back to these childhood memories. We can get to them. The more we practice this, the easier, or, the better chances, I should say, whether it's easy or hard, but the better chances that we can get to those root emotions. But then we can also deal with stuff that's at hand and trace it back. Like, why am I so afraid, or what am I afraid of as it relates to coronavirus? Am I afraid of, I'm going to lose my money, or the stock market? Some people, this fear of starvation somewhere where, or fear of running out of toilet paper. Like, what is that really all about? I love to have this conversation because this corona thing has really been fascinating. It's very sad that people are going through this, but just the behaviors of people, and just watching folks, and even watching myself. Like, I'm not sitting here like, oh, I'm just sitting here looking back with, sipping on the drink with a straw. Even looking at myself and my family and what we're going through and how we're reacting is always something for me to look inward and just find something new to improve on.
Yes. And I was talking about that on one of my videos that I put on Instagram, how I look at this as a reset for people, and because it's giving you a time to just sit back and analyze what has happened in the years before that passed, and see where you're at now and what can you change and how can you be better once we're all done with this, and that's what I want people to really understand about what's going on right now. It's just, for me, it's a reset. It could be, yes, it's a coronavirus. Yes, it's a virus, but take that all into consideration and make yourself better after this, make yourself better.
That's right.
What's the most, I guess, common region of the body that people tap?
So there are about 9. There are more than 9 tapping points, but we have a point at the top of the head. And what happens is when you're practicing acupuncture, a lot of people have had that. They're actually putting the needles on the meridian line, right? And so they're clearing that. And I'm not an acupuncturist, but with EFT, we're getting the junction. So where do these meridian endpoints that carry your energy meet? So at the top of your head, that's where they kind of intersect. On the eyebrow point, the side of the eye, under the nose, on the chin, on the chest, under the arm, and then there are a few other points. But those are kind of like the main 9 points. Okay. And so when we're tapping on those, people have different responses, which is why we encourage people to tap through all the points. Mm-hmm. Because you may respond to the chest point, and I may respond more to the top of the head point.
Okay.
And vice versa. And as you start to practice, you'll start to notice. I don't know if you've already started to notice this, Jaquel, but there's certain points that just comfort you a lot more, and you may feel more energy released than others.
Yeah, I was just about to say that when I tap on the top of my head, it's so relaxing and soothing. Yeah. And then I could tap on my collarbone, and I could feel it's a little bit more soothing, but just on the top of my head, that's where I feel the most relief. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool.
I like to encourage people to always tap, and then on their own, and give them the tools that they need. And so I get a question a lot of times, well, if you're teaching people how to tap, why would I come to you, right? Why do I need to work with a EFT practitioner or a coach? Well, because we can only take ourselves but so far, right? Mm-hmm. And even I work with a practitioner tapping, but what ends up happening is we have these points that we're going through, but then we don't really know what this energy is within our system. And so there's a series of questions that are asked to kind of bring up that energy. And another big thing is that we don't always feel safe to go places. And so that's why having somebody else along this ride with you, it opens up that energy in a safe way, so that you feel secure enough to be able to kind of delve deeper into those places that are very, very traumatic.
Nice. So where can people find you, and how can they get in contact with you?
My website is jasonwinters.coach. What I would really encourage people to do is just take the free training, honestly. freeefttraining.com. It doesn't cost anything. It allows you to be able to learn this technique and to be able to use it on your own, especially now with a lot of people being out of work or not having work, or so uncertain about what's coming next. This is a way to just start taking care of yourself, like right away. Just get to tapping. I'm on Instagram at jasonwinters.coach, and I have a 1-year-old, so my goal is always to be consistent on there, but life gets in the way sometimes,
Absolutely. And parents, while you're homeschooling, you can do this with your kids. Definitely.
Absolutely. Lots of funny memes going on with the homeschooling parents.
Exactly. So if y'all getting stressed out doing the homeschool thing, incorporate a moment of EFT tapping once you go on his website, and actually, while you have this time, you could do the free training that he offers with your kids. So definitely look into that. Anything
Absolutely.
coming up for you at this time?
No, not for me. I appreciate the work that you do. I really do. Thanks for showing up and being the person that you are, so genuine, and much respect to the work that you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Jason Winters with EFT Tapping. Go check him out on his website and Instagram and things like that, and you will definitely see what he does and how it works. All of this information will be in the show notes of the podcast. Jason, I would like to thank you again. I appreciate it, sir. And enjoy, be well, and throughout this time.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. And tell the family I said hello, and we'll get back together again and do this again.
Yeah, man. Yeah, do the same. Be well and be safe out there too, Jaquel.
Absolutely. I definitely will, sir.
All right.
I'll talk to you soon. Have a great one.
All right. For sure. Take care.
You also. Hey guys, I would like to thank you for listening in to today's episode of Back to the Basics of Health and Wellness Podcast as we talk to Mr. Jason Winters of EFTtapping.com. To learn more about what he offers, check out his website. Until next time, enjoy, be well, and make a lifestyle change that lasts. Have a great one, everybody.